American streaky bacon. This is the one, the strip of bacon that defined what breakfast looks like in the English-speaking world. Cut from pork belly, thin enough to curl at the edges, fatty enough to render into its own cooking oil in the pan. The Maillard reaction hits every surface simultaneously. The result is a crunch that no other cut can replicate. American streaky bacon appears in more recipes, more sandwiches, and more breakfast orders than any other bacon on this list. Every other bacon style on Earth is compared to this one first. The standard exists because nobody has beaten it.
Back bacon. Back bacon is what British people mean when they say bacon. Cut from the loin rather than the belly, it has significantly more meat and significantly less fat than American streaky. The rasher is thicker, chewier, and holds its shape in a sandwich without disintegrating. It is the backbone of the full English breakfast and has been for over a century. American tourists who order bacon in a British cafe and receive back bacon instead of streaky experience a moment of genuine cultural confusion. Both countries are convinced their version is correct. Neither is wrong.
Canadian bacon. Canadian bacon is not what Canadians call bacon. Canadians call it pea meal bacon, cured in a coating of ground yellow peas historically, now cornmeal. Americans renamed it Canadian bacon and put it on Eggs Benedict, where it has remained ever since. It is cut from the loin like back bacon, leaner than streaky, and comes in a round slice that fits perfectly on an English muffin. McDonald's Egg McMuffin uses Canadian bacon. The Egg McMuffin sells over 300 million units annually in the United States. A Canadian curing tradition accidentally became the structural component of the most successful breakfast sandwich in fast food history.
Turkey bacon. Turkey bacon was invented in the 1990s as a lower-fat alternative for people who wanted the experience of bacon without the pork fat content. It contains roughly 60% less fat than streaky bacon. It does not taste like streaky bacon. Food scientists have been trying to close that gap for 30 years with varying success. Turkey bacon does not render. It does not curl. It does not fill a kitchen with the smell that makes people appear from other rooms. What it does is provide a reasonable approximation of the bacon experience for people with dietary restrictions. That is enough. It sells in enormous quantities every single year. German Speck. Speck comes from the alpine regions of Germany and Austria and is cured and cold smoked over beechwood for weeks before being air-dried for months. The result is a density and smoke intensity that no quick-cured bacon can approach. A single slice of Speck contains more flavor concentration than an entire package of supermarket streaky. German butchers have been producing it using essentially the same method since the Middle Ages. It is eaten in thin slices on bread, melted into soups, and wrapped around vegetables before roasting. An 800-year-old preservation technique produces the most intensely flavored bacon in the world.
Pancetta Arrotolata. Pancetta is Italian bacon. Same cut as American streaky, same pork belly source, fundamentally different result. Where American bacon is smoked, pancetta is cured in salt, black pepper, and spices, then rolled tight and air-dried for weeks. No smoke, no heat, just salt and time. The rolled format, arrotolata, creates concentric rings of cured meat and fat that slice into rounds. Italians do not eat pancetta at breakfast. They cook it into pasta, wrap it around vegetables, and render it into a base fat for sauces. The same cut of pork became two completely different foods because one country reached for the smoker and the other reached for the salt.
Guanciale. Guanciale is not technically bacon, it is cured pork cheek. Italians insist on this distinction because it matters. The cheek has a different fat structure than the belly, softer and more gelatinous, which melts differently when rendered. Carbonara requires guanciale. The recipe registered with the Italian Academy of Cuisine specifies it. Restaurants that substitute pancetta or American bacon are making a different dish and calling it by their own name. The fat from guanciale emulsifies with egg yolk and pasta water to create the sauce that makes carbonara what it is. No other cut of pork produces the same result. The most famous pasta in the world depends entirely on the right pig's cheek.
Iberico bacon. Iberico pigs live in the oak forests of southwestern Spain and Portugal and eat almost exclusively acorns for the final months of their lives. The acorn diet converts directly into oleic acid in the fat, the same monounsaturated fat found in olive oil. The result is pork fat that is technically closer to olive oil in composition than to standard lard.
Iberico bacon renders at a lower temperature, melts on the tongue differently, and carries a faint nuttiness that no grain-fed pig can produce. It is significantly more expensive than any other bacon on this list. People who try it once understand immediately why.